Hello and welcome to episode 29 of the Ski Instructor Podcast. My name's Dave Burrows and I'm the director and owner of Snowpro Ski School based here in the Port de Soleil in Switzerland. This week's interview is with Alex Armand from Tip Top Ski Coaching based in Les Deux Alpes in France. This interview is originally scheduled to go out a bit later in December, but we talked about a lot of relevant information about French skiing right now and what's going on in the Alps on the French side. So I thought we'd push this one forward. So the one that was before that, which is an interview with Blair Aitken, that's going to be going out later on in December. It's a great interview and I highly recommend that you tune into that one. But that's going to be episode 30. In this interview here, we talk about Alex's skiing history. We talk about what it's like to be an entrepreneur in Les Alpes. We talk a little bit about gender in skiing as well, or ski instructing, and we talk about the GAP program that she runs there as well, amongst the other aspects of her business. I really enjoyed this interview with Alex, and I hope that you're going to enjoy this first half, and then we get really stuck into the discussions about French skiing at the moment in the second half. So I'll see you somewhere in the middle, and enjoy this part. Alex Armand, how are you?
Hi, good evening. Yep, very well, thank you. And yourself?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Welcome to the Ski Instructor Podcast. It's a pleasure to have you. And you are currently sitting in Les Deux Alpes, somewhere in France.
Yeah, just below Les Deux Alpes, actually. I live in Burrows, so the village that's at the bottom of the 21 bends up to Alpe d'Huez, actually. But I work in Les Deux Alpes.
Okay. So did you go up there every morning, up those 21 bends?
Well, the 21 bends go to Alpe d'Huez, and I work in Les Deux Alpes. But yeah, so it's about 20 minutes.
Okay.
And in fact, there's a cable car from Venosque, so it's about 10 minutes to Venosque, and then you can get a cable car into the resort.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really good. I've done Alpe d'Huez before. Now you've mentioned it. I've stayed in Bourg. What did you call it?
It's Burrows.
Okay. I've definitely stayed there before because I had a failed Eurotest in Alpe d'Huez, and I've done the morning commute for that Eurotest was the 21 bends of the Alpe d'Huez climb, and then a very weird experience on the stad of Alpe d'Huez. Literally, it was just one strip of kind of sheet ice, and everything else was green. It was really strange early season Eurotest. Really, really strange experience. And a funny track, actually, the Alpe d'Huez Eurotest as well. You know, like you go...
Yeah, it's a bit flat at the top, isn't it? I passed my Eurotest in Alpe d'Huez, so I know it well.
Ah, okay. Oh, good for you. Good for you. So, let's talk about... We always start with like the skiing history of the interviewee. Where did your sort of journey... that took you to where did it all begin for you?
Well, I guess it began on family ski holidays, really. So we skied as a family as a child. So I suppose I was about 10 when I started, so not super young. And then I pretty quickly actually changed over to snowboarding as soon as my parents would let me. As soon as they felt that I wasn't going to hold them up, I think.
Right.
And spent a couple of years with a very sore bottom and falling over.
Yeah.
And in fact went on to do, I think what was called then the artificial slope or dry slope snowboarder instructor,
Yeah.
And worked at Sheffield whilst I was at university in Leeds.
Okay.
Just at weekends. And then in fact I came back to skiing because I did a season in Val d'Isère as a snowboarder and realised that if I wanted to work in the mountains, that in fact I needed to be a ski instructor at the time rather than a snowboard instructor. So thought that I'd better start to learn to ski again. I obviously had the basics.
Yeah.
of a snowplow anyway, at least. And and so I spent my season skiing in Val d'Isère basically, and getting back into it.
Yeah.
And did my Basie level 1 at the end of that season, and that was kind of the start of it all.
What prompted you to go for the Basie? So you were doing a sort of regular season air thing over there, and then what prompted you to do the ski instructor thing at the end of that first season?
Well, during that season, I think in my mind, I quite liked the idea of staying in the mountains, and I quite liked the idea of being an instructor. I think originally in my mind was being a snowboard instructor, because that's the equipment I was on at the time, and realised that in fact if I wanted to be a snowboard instructor, I had to learn to ski.
Yeah.
Or relearn to ski, or learn to ski a lot better than I skied before. And so yeah, that's where I took up skiing. And I guess because of the Basie system, as you'll know, you end up spending so much time on skis that I quite quickly became a better skier than I was snowboarder. So then all your focus stays on skiing. Although I did teach snowboarding out here for quite a while.
Do you not do any of that anymore?
Not really. No, it's been a while since I've taught snowboarding.
It's been a while since I've put on a snowboard too, I have to say. I've toyed with the idea though. I think I might have a go at this winter again, just for fun.
Well, it's good fun. I mean, to be honest, it's probably been a couple of years since I've actually done some turns on the snowboard. When we had snow earlier this season, back in sort of September, October time it was, with some friends, we built a kicker, and I went on my snowboard, which was quite fun. But that's probably the first time I've been on a snowboard in a couple of years.
I've spent the last few weekends on the glaciers here in Switzerland, so I've been in Diablerets and Zermatt and stuff like that.
Lucky you. What's the snow like?
Do you know what? I don't want to make your situation any worse, but it was brilliant actually. Like, it's really in Zermatt, it was so good, really, really good. And then the snow on the glacier at the moment in Diablerets is just out of this world. Like, it's so grippy, and it's so kind of, how do you explain? It's just so glaciery, you know. It's just, yeah, it's brilliant. I went to Verbier last weekend with my daughter, because they'd done their usual Verbier thing where they opened up the top bit like really early, and there were just like too many people, and there were like rocks and all sorts of stuff. It was a bit early.
Yeah, somebody said to me that Verbier didn't have huge amounts of snow. Yeah.
So they've been making snow like crazy actually up there. So they've managed to open it down to Rouenet, but I can't imagine it's going to be brilliant. I'll give you a report on it when I'm up there, because I'm up there again on Saturday. So we'll see how that goes.
Lucky you. Well, as soon as the snow comes here, we'll be out ski touring. Hopefully, they've said that we're allowed to ski tour at least. Yeah.
Let's not jump the gun on that, because I have got a thought bubble here that says current COVID situation France. So we're gonna cover that one.
Yeah. Well, there's probably plenty to talk about there, isn't there?
Yeah, exactly. Monsieur Macron and his edicts. So after that first season, when you did your level 1 and stuff like that, so that brought you back to Val d'Isère, did it, or did you go somewhere else after that? What was?
No, in fact, I went back to the UK and got I suppose what we would all call a proper job.
A real job. Oh my God.
For a little bit.
Yeah.
So I worked in sports development, in the London Borough of Hounslow. Okay. For a couple of years, 18 months I think, and then realised that in fact I enjoyed all the coaching of the kids, and I did quite a bit of work with kids, trying to keep them out of crime and and into sport. Community Sports Leaders Awards, and we set up something called the Street Games, stuff like that. But you spend a lot of your time applying for grants, and I felt as if I wasn't doing exactly what I wanted to do by applying for grants. So I made the jump back into coming back here and trying to follow the ski instructor qualification line. And I came to Les Deux Alpes by chance, really. So I actually came back to Les Deux Alpes that summer because of the glacier.
Okay.
Liked it, made some contacts here. Had some friends from my first season in Val d'Isère that were in fact going to be here that winter, and so decided to come here out of liking it and out of knowing a few people and having a few contacts to find some accommodation and what have you. And basically just loved it and have stayed here ever since, really.
It's a familiar story that, the people come and they stay in a place that they sort of fall for. It's
for sure.
Certainly true of this region here that I'm in. I think if it wasn't this region, which I love because it's so, everything's so close. You can get. Yeah, I'm saying this is a big thrill in my life, but you can get to the Geneva airport really easily. There's lots to do down by the lake, but also you're not very far away from some seriously good skiing as well.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't there, the other place that I would be is the Aosta Valley. That would be the other.
Okay, do you know what? I've never skied the Aosta Valley.
I'm in love with it. Every time I go over there, like the food's good, people are nice, like the scenery's stunning. I think it's a wonderful place. But anyway, I digress. So that then Les Deux Alpes, and then you what? You started working your way through the various qualifications and climbing the slippery pole.
Yeah, basically. So I did that first season when I came back, which was for the 6 weeks at the end of the season. I did my level 2 because it happened to be on in Deux Alpes while I was there, with James Lister actually. So our Basie chairman at the moment. Mm-hmm. Who used to have a shop here in Deux Alpes. Okay. And then that summer, somebody along the line somewhere told me that if I hadn't raced before, which I hadn't, that I should start race training. So I joined Dave Morris and the podium team, and did some training with them. Mm-hmm. Learned about racing. Yeah. And then and carried on through the system really. And I was lucky enough to get through the system. I did the whole of the level 3 that following winter, and in fact I got through when you could still apply to be a stagiaire in France. Oh wow, okay. So I was one of the last people that got through on that that system. Yeah. So I was very lucky. So I after that one season of working, doing sort of lots of different jobs and trying to train and going off doing my exams, I applied for my license to be a stagiaire, and got my paperwork. So worked for a small French ESI ski school here in Les Deux Alpes called Saint Christophe, and so whilst I was going through the system, I worked for them.
Oh wow, that's really cool. You don't hear many
which was
people who have
good
done that.
For lots of reasons, including improving my French and being actually a part of the community of the French community within the resort and stuff, I think. Yeah,
well, I think then you would be extremely well positioned for me to ask you a question later about exactly the role that the community ski schools have within the mountain communities, because it's always one of the big things that I'd like to talk about is that kind of cultural element as to what skiing means to the people who live there, as opposed to just coming in as a ski instructor December through to April and then leaving again with all the cash in your pocket. There's more to the communities up here than just that.
Yeah, for sure. And I think maybe Les Deux Alpes as well has got maybe less instructors that just come for the season and go away than perhaps the key big French resorts like, I don't know, Maribel, Courchevel, Val d'Isère.
Yeah. I think that I'm sure that stores up some resentment in amongst the locals. In those places where you've got large amounts of ski instructors who come and go and don't necessarily contribute either from a community point of view or from a taxis point of view and that kind of thing. When you're in a place and you kind of understand what it means to work for the Red School or work for the ESI, as you say, you really build those connections and you start to understand who does what in your community and what role they have. It's really quite an important thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots in there. I mean, the ESI is blue, for example, in France, and then the ESF is red, and they're the two sort of local ski schools. And it depends what region you're from as to what their relationships are. We're very lucky in Les Deux Alpes that everybody has a very nice relationship. It's one of the things that I really like about Les Deux Alpes. I find it a very friendly place. I find that my clients find it a really friendly place, and that there isn't really any animosity on the piste or on the hill at all. So sometimes when I need an extra instructor, because I suppose that I would be classed as an independent instructor, so there's only really me for Tip Top Ski Coaching. But I quite often have bigger products or projects, such as a gap project with 3 groups with non-stop snow. And I use instructors from other ski schools. I work with the Ski Club of Great Britain quite a lot as well, so I use quite a lot of other instructors for that as well. And it's quite nice to be able to work with all of the other different ski schools and pick. I find it's really good actually, because you can pick the instructor that you want for the client that you've got, rather than picking the instructor because of the colour of their jacket.
Tell me about it.
Which is ideal.
Well, I think that's the route I think we're going to end up going down a little bit this season with my ski school, because I deliberately cut the team down a little bit, and then I've lost one of my instructors because he didn't want to come. He's turns out he's mega busy in the UK. He's normally a tennis coach, so he's it's one of the sports that they can do over there at the moment.
Everyone's allowed to play tennis again now, aren't they?
So he's stacked with work, and he doesn't really want to, in this current climate, he doesn't really want to give that up to come and do a 4-month season and then go home again. So my team's ended up a lot smaller than it was last year for sure. And so now I'm actually, I don't know, but I now have the opportunity to kind of, like you say, pick other people I know, or other people who are, that I'd like to work with for certain things, and say to those people, because everyone's sort of, a little bit light on work this winter, and say, look, can you come and help me out with this? Can you come and help me out with this? And I'm really excited about this season, about the quality of people that we're able to put in front of our clients for specific things. It's really cool.
I think it's fantastic, and it's also fantastic to be able to build relationships with all the different ski schools and see everybody working together. I think it's lovely to see all different coloured jackets going out with one group of person. Group of people.
Yeah, for sure. Let's finish off this story about how you qualified. So
I qualified.
Yeah, obviously working your way through the level 4 and Eurotests and all that sort of stuff. Like how was that part of? Or how was it to end? To finish all of that off?
Well, I very much enjoyed the racing personally. So I suppose, and also because somebody gave me a tip when I passed my level 1, I suppose, telling me to get straight into racing. So I didn't leave it until I'd done everything else till I started racing.
Yeah.
And I suppose a bit of a competitive spirit helps a little bit there. So I enjoyed the Eurotest stuff. I think you do have to do quite a lot of training in order to pass the Eurotest if you haven't raced before. But as I enjoyed it, I didn't find that a massive hardship. And I did training with Podium, so with Dave Morris and his team. I had links with the European ski schools, so I went over to Santa Cario and trained with the Santa Cario club quite a lot.
Okay.
And that came through the European ski school. And I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed the Italian system, as it were, of racing. So then afterwards, so I passed my Eurotest and then started working on my level 4 tech, really. So other things slotting in between.
I'm going to have to jump in and ask you, because I can hear listeners asking, why did you enjoy the Italian sort of approach to racing and how they do stuff? Like, what was so good about that?
They're quite direct. I mean, I think in all honesty, with my experience of other people, not everybody enjoys it because they are quite direct and to the point. Mm-hmm. But you're never unsure about what you need to change.
Okay.
So there's less, what should we say, wrapping in cotton wool or mollycoddling, and it's very much that's what you need to do. Yeah. And the other thing, once you realise, then this is fine. But there's very little of like, that was amazing. It's like, oh well, now you need to change that. Yeah. So you're always moving on to the next thing. There's no wasted time. Okay.
It's interesting that they should be so direct. You wouldn't. I don't know.
The other thing is in Italy they can shut off piste for training. Their longer piste maybe. It's not just the stad. There's quite a bit more flexibility, I think, for racing in Italy than than perhaps in France, or my experience in France. I mean, Les Deux Alpes is a little bit different again, because obviously in the summer we've got hundreds of lanes up on the glacier, and you can just book a lane. And in fact, the resort are quite accommodating for, you know, managing to book piste and what have you. But in Italy, I think it's just normal practice that there's somebody skiing gates on various different pistes every morning. Yeah.
No, you do see that. I usually have an early season visit to Cervinia, which I won't be able to do this year, but there's always some little grums out there racing something.
Yeah, well, I think they're still racing in Cervinia, aren't they? I think Cervinia is actually still open for...
I think for clubs, clubs and teams.
For clubs,
sure,
yeah.
Yeah, that's true. But I get getting the impression, though, that you probably respond... This is just me shooting this in the air, so if you're more sensitive than I've appreciated, then feel free to shoot me down. But it strikes me that I get the impression that you probably responded fairly well to that more direct Italian approach.
I think so. I think I wanted to get the job done.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I think I enjoyed that. I mean, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed all the other coaching that I've had as well. And when you go through the system, as you all know, you experience lots and lots and lots of different styles and types and of coaching, and exams as well, because obviously during the exams you're being coached as well. So
yeah,
and as with everything, some people you get on with much better or feel that you're learning much more with than other people, but that's down to the coaches. Or what I would say to me and my team of instructors is down to the coach to adapt their style to the person in front of them.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair enough. Okay, so you're one of the unusual people who got the Eurotest out of the way early and then concentrated on the other bits, which in Basiland is skiing zipline moguls and that kind of thing. And then then finished off the system and away you go.
Yeah, pretty much. So when I finished off the system, I stopped working for the ESI San Christophe, and started working for the European Ski School.
Okay.
Which is, I suppose, the British ski school in Les Deux Alpes, although it's Italian really rather than British. But so I worked for them for quite a few years until I set up, I think I passed in 2011, and I set up Tip Top Ski Coaching in the winter months. It was already running in the summer, but in the winter months I'll be going into my third season now. Okay,
all right. And
so
okay, I was about to say, and how is it? But that's a terrible question to be asking right now.
And how is it? Well,
no, we'll come to that.
Apart from the fact that the resort isn't open, it's very good.
Yeah. Oh my God, I know. It's So look, this is. Let's jump to this because I wanted to talk to you about Deux Alpes, but let's jump to this. So, you're quite a rare thing then in the world of skiing. Not only fully qualified female ISTD, and I don't particularly want to make a big thing out of it because you're female, because female is female, male is male, but a female entrepreneur in skiing is actually really rare. You know, you don't find that very often. There's not very many of you in the Alps.
There's probably more of us than you think there are actually, but there are a few.
2 or 3. But I'm not. You know, my experience might be limited.
But yeah, I mean, I don't actually think whether you're male or female, as far as your teaching ability, really makes much difference. I mean, some people, I suppose, might feel more comfortable with a female. You could say that the classic scenario of the fact that we might be a little bit more understanding. Of fear or of not feeling very confident or whatever it might be, but I like to think that I can do all of that side of things for those that need it, and those that want to be a little bit more gung-ho and go a little bit faster or a little bit steeper or a little bit deeper if it's off-piste, that I can do that as well. So
Yeah. And what made the only reason I say that, and it annoys me if I'm honest, this whole focus on how do you say it? There's a sort of overemphasis on and I'm bringing up a daughter, right? So I've got a 3-year-old daughter at home, and there's a lot of people who who seem to be really pushing this kind of this sort of female angle.
It's big at the moment, isn't it? So there's a big movement to have all female groups, or
it kind of drives me a little bit banana. Also that, but also, the hanging of certain labels on it because it's a female thing. And the way I look at it is, I'm also, I'm bringing up my daughter, but how do I explain this properly? I don't want to trip myself up by saying the wrong thing and having like 50 million people email me. But what I suppose I'm trying to say is that I don't want to be bringing up my daughter with her having the impression that there's like a secret cabal of men who are holding her back.
I think, personally, I think it's more about what skills and attributes a person has.
Yeah.
And that's probably the most important thing to, if you want to talk about your daughter, to bring her up with the right skills and attributes. But if you're looking at choosing a ski instructor, it's looking at choosing the instructor that fits what you want. So where's their expertise? Where's their experience? Are they in the right resort for you? Where do you want to go? All of those things are much more important than whether they're male or female, I think.
That's right. And in the end, it shouldn't really matter, should it?
No, and in fact, actually, I'll tell you that it doesn't matter, because my name is Alexandra, but obviously I'm known as Alex, so I have a lot of people that think I'm going to be male before they book me.
Yeah.
They're always surprised when they turn up and I'm female, and I would say like a high percentage of my clients rebook me again, so it obviously hasn't bothered them too much that I've been a girl when they have turned up.
Yeah. It's... No, like I say, that and to me that's one of the biggest things, right? It literally shouldn't matter, and this sort of overemphasis that there is on. There was a real big thing that went through. I don't know. It's all been overtaken by the COVID thing now. But like before all that stuff happened, there was just endless chat about this stuff. And the way I look at it is that it doesn't matter who you are. You have the equality of opportunity, so you can make you can make out of your life whatever you want. You just have to put the effort in, at the front end. I genuinely don't think that there, like I say, there isn't this sort of secret club of people trying to hold people back. It can't be like that.
Equally, I guess if girls would prefer to ski with girls, then, that's okay as well.
Yes, it is. But then, like you say, that already exists, right? So they can just book you up or find you. In the same way, if you've got a bunch of blokes who want to ski with me, then, because, I don't know, lads, whatever, that's fine. That also exists. The product is out there for you, the client, to go and get that, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is. It's about choosing the instructor that you want for their, like I said before, for the attributes that they've got. Whether that's... lots of experience off piste, lots of experience with slightly more nervous people, lots of experience working with kids, whatever they put down as their unique selling points, I suppose. Yeah.
So tell me about this. Talking of unique selling points, so what made you start your own gig? What was the thing that made you do it? I think I used to run a nannying business before, called Snow Angel Nannies, which some people will have heard of. And I stopped doing that because I wanted to concentrate on my skiing, so it was the natural next step for me, really. Okay. Oh, so you'd run your own thing before? Yeah, and I wanted to run my own thing again, I think. Do you take orders very well from other people? I can take orders if required. If required. It's funny, like there's a, I strongly believe that if you're gonna, there's a sort of small percentage of the population who just have it in them to run their own thing, and they have to do it because otherwise they kind of just spend most of their time thinking that their boss is an idiot, and it's a difficult place to be in. If you've got that kind of mindset, if you're used to I think also I think it's also about the challenge, I think, as well. I think for me, so you're not just teaching skiing, you're also doing the marketing, doing the accounts, running the business, dealing with the relationships, networking. So it's sort of the whole picture. Yeah.
But I have still got a very good relationship with all of the ski schools that I've worked for in the past. I would still work with them in resorts. So so that's a good thing, and I think an important thing as well.
I was when I first started up, I wanted to kind of fight everybody who seemed to cross me, and I've realised that you can't really do that. You've got to try and be a bit more diplomatic. These days, as I'm getting older, I'm seeing the value in that. But I've still got people on my hit list for sure. There is a list. So tell me, in terms of what was I going to go asking next? In terms of like the first 3 years of it, how has that been? Let's put this year aside, but for the first kind of year or two of getting it going, has it gone as you expected? And what were the most difficult things getting it going?
So I think for me, because it was already running in the summer months, I already had a client base. I already had a client base of my own anyway, which I suppose is another sort of natural reason to become your own entity. So we already had a Basie business partnership.
Okay.
We already had. I already had the contract with the Ski Club of Great Britain, which was growing rather than shrinking. Although let's see what happens this year. And various of my own clients. I was very careful not to take the clients from the ski school, not to tread on their toes, and I think that was respected by both parties in that scenario, because they had contracts with tour operators and stuff. And then really word of mouth and the magic of social media, using that for marketing. My website was already existed, so it was just a matter of expanding it. And various sort of articles and trying to speak to journalists and podcasts and things like that. So it actually went well. And then, of course, you've got your clients in resort as well. So whilst we would all like to be fully booked before the beginning of the season, you do, by default, pick up clients in resort who either haven't booked yet or perhaps didn't get on quite as well as they thought they did on the first day, or for me perhaps didn't enjoy the group lessons, so that wanted a more a private lesson, or there are heaps of scenarios that happen, aren't there? So there are lessons that you pick up as well in resort. I think I also speak French, so the French don't book quite so far in advance, so they do tend to book a little bit more in resort, so that helps on that side as well.
Oh, really?
And I'm hoping that will help me this year.
That's interesting. So your typical French experience is what, they arrive in resort and then look around for a ski school?
Yeah, I mean the typical French experience is that they arrive in resort and go to ESF. But they're
conditioned to from a young age, like it's
but the atypical French is that they arrive in resort and start ringing around. So so I make sure that I've got flyers in apartment blocks and hotels and what have you. To try when needed.
Oh wow, okay. They don't seem to be quite as organised. It's funny, the Anglophone mindset seems to be get it all booked in advance. And it seems to be a bit more last minute. Seems to be the Francophone mindset.
There's maybe an element of supply and demand in that as well, because if you're coming on your holiday to Les Deux Alpes and you want a British instructor, you haven't got a huge choice. So if you arrive on, I don't know, February half term on the Sunday and ring any of the British instructors, you probably wouldn't get any lessons.
Right.
So I think that depending on what you want from your ski lesson, then it's quite important to book in advance. I do think it's actually much better to book in advance and know where you are. The other thing, I suppose, for me is sometimes people would book like 2 or 3 days, see how they get on, and then I quite often find that if I've got the time, that those people will want to book the rest of the days in that week.
Oh, that's good. It often happens like that, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. Yeah, it does.
Yeah. And you can tell who the good is. Well, from a ski school director's point of view, you can tell who the good instructors are that are doing that sort of, be as cynical as to say an upsell, but see who's popular, that the clients want to spend more time with them. It's really easy to notice that when you look through the kind of the repeat bookings.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. Oh, cool. And so you also have You also run a GAP program, is that right, out of Les Deux Alpes?
Yeah, so historically I've run a GAP program over the summer months on the glacier. Mm-hmm. It started off being a full GAP program, level 1, level 2.
Yeah.
And in fact, the timing is quite difficult with the end of the A-level and GCSE results, and the timing of the end of the summer. So more recently, we've only run the level 2 with 3 weeks of training before.
All right.
And then tried to help people to book on a level 1 in a snow dome or on a dry slope prior to that.
Oh wow!
Either in a half-term week or in the holidays, or there are some that do them over weekends.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% set on either model, to be honest. So depending on where the dates fall and everything for exams, I make my decision every year.
Yeah.
And so historically, I've always done that. And then last year, we started working with Base Camp.
Yeah.
So we had 3 groups, a snowboard group and 2 ski groups here in Les Deux Alpes.
Oh, cool.
Base Camp has since been taken over by Non-Stop Snow. So we're running 3 groups again. We've got 3 full groups starting in January.
Okay.
This winter. So we're obviously hoping with Non-Stop Snow we're going to work together a little bit more in the summers as well, and trying to build that program.
That's awesome. 3 weeks prep doesn't sound like a great deal of time, but before a level 2. I'm thinking for some people, not all, but some.
No, so the other thing that I use, which I find works really, really well, is on my website, I've got a custom-built virtual training app.
Right.
So that if people are in the UK, they can work on their short turns, for example, get somebody to film 6 short turns. And as you would do in the evenings, video feedback is a really good way of giving feedback and improving somebody's skiing. So they can go to Milton Keynes or Tamworth or wherever it might be. And then I'll give them some exercises. The video comes up on one side of the page, and then we're in a chat box on the other side of the page, so we can pause the video and look at different things, just as you would do probably normally in a bar after skiing, but maybe not this year.
Yeah.
And so I can coach people through in that way as well, if they feel that they need it. And the other thing is, people tend to already show. I've already got an interest for quite a few people for next summer, so they would probably come for a week during the winter as well for me to ski with them. Okay. Whether it's a couple of hours every 2 or 3 days, or they're with their family, or whether they come just themselves for the week and try and slot in with what I've got available. But that at least gives them a good training week, and then they go away. And even if they've not done their level 1, it doesn't actually matter if you're well above a level 1 level when you take the level 1, if your object is to pass the level 2.
Yeah. No, I was just thinking about this because we ran a level 1 over the winter here for some of the students that work at that are at one of the international schools, and I was doing the training part of it, and Peter Kuehl was doing the examining part of it, and it was interesting to see actually how that obviously I've been through it as an instructor, trainee instructor, but it was interesting to see it from a sort of breaking down a movement pattern point of view, and then building up good movement patterns after that, and how hard some of those old built-in movement patterns are to shift sometimes.
Yeah, well, it's the old saying, isn't it? Breaking a habit is much harder than learning a new skill.
Yeah. How do you go about doing that if you've got something that's really sort of stand out that you can't polish into something?
For my clients, or for myself? For my clients.
No, I'm sure you ski pretty well. You don't need that much polishing. But let's say we've got a client who is doing something really funky, like how and it's tough to break. Like, do you have any?
Try to start from the base again, so that they're learning a new skill.
Yeah.
try to change the mindset that we're not adapting what we've got, but we're learning something new.
And how do you go about doing that? Do you slow them right down and take it all back to basics? Or?
So it depends a little bit where we're at in the system, as it were. You know, whether we're talking about struggling with the snowplow or whether we're struggling in short terms. But quite often, as you all know as well, is that we can bring things back down to the central theme and correct that skill there, or learn that new skill there within the slow central theme easy, and then it then comes back again in our performance skiing. You know, the new skill shows in our performance skiing.
Yeah, okay, because that's often my default. If I want to break something out of a client skiing, I will go literally right back to the beginner slope and then start. I won't say start again, but you know, do everything super slow and super, and also that environment is a really, really cool place to be able to see all of these things happening. You know,
I think also actually that quite a lot of the time somebody or clients perhaps don't understand the difference from where they're at or what they're doing and what they should be doing. Mm-hmm. So if you can show them, if you can run a sort of, I suppose like a guided discovery session on, you know, to get them to realise, you know, what movements they are doing and what they should be doing, the difference between the two, you know, or even using video or whatever it might be, then it's much easier to move from A to B than it is to move from A to I'm not quite sure. So I find that works as well. Okay.
That's interesting. Yeah, the like I say, I just find that curious. You know, if there's a special way that or tricks and stuff that you have to do it, because like I say, sometimes you can imagine that a lot of clients have probably been doing some of these movements for, you know, best part of 10 years or something, and they're quite hard to break down sometimes. You know,
yeah, they are. But I think like you, going back to doing things, you know, individual skills much slower, using perhaps something other than your short turn or your steep slope or whatever you're choosing to use, allows you to relearn a skill, and then you can bring it back into what you were doing before. I think that's definitely important, but I do think that this understanding is quite important, that if we can start to feel and understand what we are doing and also see at least and understand, then we'll be able to start to feel that new skill on the slow stuff, and then we can put it back in again so that we can see where we need to go. So at the end of the session, basically, the idea would be that even if we haven't nailed it and done that run of exactly the right turns that we want to do, that the client's going away and able to practice in a manner that they're practicing the correct thing, not just relearning what they were doing before.
Okay.
So, like a level of the level of understanding of where they want to go is important.
With the gap students, obviously you're going to have a fair amount of I guess the large majority are indeed gap students, and probably you've got a very small majority who are like career changers or whatever.
Yeah. So last year we had a couple of maybe career breakers. A lot of younger, not necessarily like 18, but younger anyway, you know, deciding that maybe that's what they did want to go into, or that they wanted to do a couple of years of teaching or whatever. In fact, really nicely, I got a message this morning from one of the girls that's, she's American actually, and she started teaching, and she's just saying how happy she was and thanks so much for all the coaching, and she was really enjoying putting it into actual real practice in a uniform, so that was quite nice to receive this morning.
Nice. Yeah. Huh? Oh, cool. And how many? What's it like? So I'm specifically thinking with the younger generation, not so much the career changes and stuff. But do you often? I know that this is a problem that they often have in places like Verbier or whatever. That they've got some guys there who are obviously on the gaps, but they don't really give a damn whether they pass the exams or not. They're essentially there for the party. Well, do you have how do you kind of deal with that element in a gap group?
If I'm honest, we haven't had too much problem with that, to be honest. I think the people that come in the summer on the summer courses are probably a little bit more, I don't want to say motivated is the wrong word, but you've got to want to go skiing in the summer on a glacier, haven't you?
Yeah.
So, you know, they've got a real objective to pass that exam, and that's why they're there. And last winter's the first winter I've run the full gap program with 3 courses, so quite a lot of young guys on it. But really, although obviously our aim and our goal is to get them all through, and that's what we want, are setting out the fact that, you know, improving, and with that improvement being able to enjoy more of the mountain, be able to explore further into the mountains and stuff, keeps everybody really motivated and you know, at improving, and obviously making sure that they're enjoying themselves and they are managing to see more of the mountains and you know, and get more from their skiing. Works really well for us.
Okay. No, maybe it's just a Verbier thing then.
Well, I don't know. I hear lots of reports from various different places, but last year we didn't have any problems, so I'll touch wood and hope that that's the case this year. I'll keep my same tactic, and for the time being, I'll say that my tactic is working well. Yeah. And if we need to change it during the winter, we'll change it. Yeah. Although this year, actually, the après ski is going to probably be less of a focus.
Yeah.
So I don't know. So we've already been thinking of masses of après ski stuff that we can do that's a bit different. So like snowshoeing, stopping for a van show somewhere outside. Yeah. More of the sort of outside sporty kind of things rather than the not that we've got actually a folie douce, but less of the panneau bar is our folie douce.
You don't have a folie douce yet? I thought these guys were aiming on taking over the Alps.
Well, we've got our own. We've got the panneau bar, so I don't think folie douce will come because the panneau bar is pretty good. But right. I suspect this will be fairly calm this year.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say their whole business model is built on après ski. They must be in panicking pretty hard right now, I'd say.
Well, as the French would say, I would think it will be an année blanche for for après ski.
Yeah, absolutely. When you I don't know whether you're on the Basie training body or not, but it's not you examining those summer gaps either, is it?
No, it's not. I'm not actually a trainer. So equally, I wouldn't be able to train them and then examine them because that would be unfair. My pathway that I've chosen to go down at the moment is to do more the training side and allow the examiners to come in.
Yeah, okay. Now tell me, when we first looked at this interview, and it was a long time ago, and I'm sorry it's taken a long time to get to
No, but it was in the summer, wasn't it? So we were just starting to ski again.
I've been fascinated. I was fascinated when I was poking around your website at this concept of remote skiing tips, and I remember saying to you, like, is this something that is big? Like, how does it work? And you know, do you do much of it? Like, I've never seen anyone offer remote skiing tips before. So, where's that idea come from, and how did you end up rolling it out?
I think that the idea came from people sending me videos quite often and asking for feedback on them, you know, when they were training for things or what have you, and, you know, regular clients that I've got that come every year. Yeah. So because I was receiving these videos via WhatsApp or, you know, what have you, I was thinking, well, do you know what, there's something that we should be doing here. Yeah. And if people are actually quite keen to do it, you know, why not tell other people, and then more people can benefit from it. Mm-hmm. So that's really where the idea came from. I'm a big believer in video feedback. I think it works really, really well. And so I went and got some quotes really to get this virtual training bit on my website, and it looked all feasible to do it. So we went ahead and did it. I think probably your average first-time skier doesn't use it. No. But those people that are looking to go through the instructor program use it quite a lot. Mm-hmm. And very keen skiers that, you know, maybe can't get out to the Alps, but can, you know, go to a snow dome or a dry slope, they might use it as well. Mm-hmm. And I'm hoping that if they can't get to France and don't join you in Switzerland, that they might use it a bit more.
Well, at the moment, it's I'm not sure how many are going to end up in Switzerland because we've still got some moving around issues going on in France. But I'm certainly getting my fair share of resumes at the moment from Italian and French ski instructors. That's really interesting. I've had more of
Yeah, I bet. Although they'll all want to come back here when it opens, won't they?
Well, yeah, and I've got some quite strict criteria that I don't deviate from with regards to instructors in my ski school. So I'm not gonna compromise on that just because just because I'm other. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm probably getting 4 or 5 CVs a week at the moment, which is
really?
a lot. Yeah, but it's people just kind of trying to make a living, right? You can understand what they're doing.
Completely, yeah.
Yeah, it's tricky time right now. Let's go on to talk about that if you want. So you're based in Les Deux Alpes, which is. It's almost Italian, isn't it? Like you're right. You're not far away from the border.
We're about an hour and a half. So you've got to go over the Col de Lotterie, through Serre Chevalier, up over the Col de Montgenèvre, and then you drop down to Clavier.
Okay. And so, and I'm told, and like I say, I don't really know this for gospel, but like Les Deux Alpes has quite a sort of an Italian feel. It is a bit more kind of between the two there. It's not right French.
So in the summer, it has a lot of Italian tourists, definitely. In the winter, maybe less so, because obviously the Italian resorts are normally open, or we're not open and they're not open either. So they're not going to come here. So in the summer, certainly a lot of Italian ski clubs and tourists come. In the winter, I would say less so. They come at key periods. There's key sort of Italian holidays, French holidays, and British holidays, and Belgian holidays, and what have you. There are probably quite a few Italians in resort. So I was saying one of the ski schools that I used to work for has quite a few Italian instructors. But then I think these days, if you go to Maribel and Courchevel, or you go to Val d'Isère, there's quite a few Italian instructors as well.
There is. There seems to be like a factory that pumps them out, isn't there? There's it's really odd. There's loads of them in Châtel in France as well, I've noticed.
Right. Okay. Well, I think it's maybe just in France then. Are there a lot of Italian instructors in Switzerland?
That's a good question. Not that I've met. Maybe there is a few in Zermatt, I think. In fact, I met one 2 weeks ago. There's a bunch of them in Zermatt for sure, but obviously that's the proximity to Chvina, I guess, is coming into play there.
Yeah, it's fairly linked, isn't it? Yeah.
But I suppose what I would say is I also heard though that there's an agency. So there's a ski instructor agency. Now I don't know whether I don't know anything about it, but there is a ski instructor agency who seems to offer. To be like a go-between between ski instructors at ski schools in France that need instructors and this sort of production line of Italian
I haven't heard of them.
Ski instructors, and I guess they can I'm just guessing here, but I'm guessing they can probably earn more money in France than they could in Italy.
In Italy, yeah, I think so. And I think quite a lot of the smaller Italian resorts are very based around weekend work rather than the week-long season work. So I think quite a few of, if I understand correctly, the smaller Italian resorts, the ski instructors have other jobs during the week.
Yeah, okay. And they teach at the weekends.
Yeah.
So I'm recording this on 3rd of December, and as it stands here in Europe, I'm in Switzerland. It's obviously not part of Europe. It's a little bit part of Europe, but not very much. And Switzerland's coming under a lot of pressure right now from the European Union, who've gone down this route of trying to get all of the ski areas open at the same time, so that no one country benefits or I guess has all the ski visitors at the same time. And as it stands right now, Switzerland are resisting that pressure from the EU, and I think it's pretty, in my opinion, I don't think much of the EU as an organisation anyway, but to be putting that kind of pressure on another country's kind of state decisions, I think is pretty poor form. So we'll see how long this situation lasts. And we've also got a very bizarre situation actually here in the Port de Soleil, which is a Franco-Swiss area, or domain, so you can ski on the French side, but also you can cross over into the Swiss side. And as it stands right now, up until, what we've heard is mid-January, but they haven't made the decision of that on the French side right now, is that the lifts and the infrastructure on the French side will be closed and the Swiss side will be open. Now that then presents a whole nother problem, which is being discussed heavily at the moment in the media over here, which is what's going to happen to all of those French skiers from the Haute-Savoie who normally would go skiing up in the stations of Châtel and a few others. Where will they go? Will they come up and try and cross the border and ski in Switzerland? That's going to put an incredible number of people into the ski stations on the Swiss side, which will be Morgin, Le Creuset, Chapoussin, etc. And this presents a very weird logistical problem that which I'm not quite sure how they're going to get round to. There's some sort of talk of shutting borders and not allowing French people across to ski, which then opens up a whole bunch of other ethical questions, which is surrounding how can the state be in such a position where it's saying what people can and cannot do? My wife is originally Romanian, and when you speak to all of the Romanians, that we know, they really, really don't like, what's going on at the moment in terms of the response to COVID, because it feels very, very heavy-handed, a statist kind of response that looks a little bit like what they all served under under communism in the 80s, and I decide that you cannot go skiing, therefore you cannot. It's not a very pleasant system to be living under, COVID or no COVID. So that's just to give you a little bit of background about what we're about to talk about next. So in part 2 with Alex, we talk about Deux Alpes and what the skiing is going to look like in France this winter. We talk also about mask use, which something I know a lot about. I've been skiing for the last month every weekend and as much as I can during the week, both with clients and just personally. Mask use while skiing. So we touch a little bit about how that is working here in Switzerland. We then go on to talk, underlying all of this COVID stuff, of course, we've got Brexit. So we talk a little bit about Basie's recent announcement in relation to Brexit and Brexit implications on skiing as well this winter, this sort of perfect storm of things that are going to come up. So enjoy the second half. Like I said, the next interview up, which I'll be editing more towards Christmas, will be Blair Aitken about British backcountry, which is going to be really fantastic. But for now, enjoy the second half of this, and I wish you open lifts and good skiing, good snow, and I'll see you on the next one. What I suppose what I wanted to talk about was Les Deux Alpes as a place this coming winter. Now, let's set the record straight. I mean, I'm not sure when this will go out, but we'll try and get it out as soon as possible. But as we stand right now, no one knows when the French ski resorts are going to open.
Correct. So the president said that he couldn't foresee. Yes. He hadn't made a decision, but he couldn't foresee ski lifts running, because actually the resorts were open. Yeah. Ski lifts running for the Christmas and New Year holidays. That was followed up with the next day the Premier Minister going through all the rules and regulations in a little bit more depth, saying that the ski resorts wouldn't open, but didn't give a date that they would. Yes. Bars and restaurants have been given the next possible date as the 20th of January. So people have taken that as being for ski resorts as well, but it certainly hasn't been offered as for ski resorts, and it could be before that. I believe that the Italians, because there's quite a movement in Europe, isn't there, that Austria and Switzerland are not moving with to close ski resorts. The Italians have asked for at least till the 10th of January, I believe.
Yeah.
And then we know that there is going to be a governmental meeting on the 11th of December to discuss the opening of ski resorts. So I'm guessing that we would have more information, hopefully, on the 11th or 12th of December. There's quite a lot of movements in France to try to get the government to reassess their decisions.
Yes.
So there was a rally, I suppose, in Les Deux Alpes today where the mayor spoke and what have you. There's another one in my village, Burrows, as the gates of the Oison Valley, basically. So that will include all the resorts in the valley on Wednesday. And there's one coming up in Grenoble and one in Chambéry, I think, which will include the whole of the Tarentaise.
Yeah.
Lots of resorts are writing to the government, to ministers and things, Minister of Sport particularly, obviously.
Yeah.
But what they have said is that the ski resorts as such can open. So hotels and what have you can open.
Yeah. But, yeah.
But the ski lifts won't open. Access to the mountain will be open, apparently, so people can ski tour, they can snowshoe, parapont and do the other activities in town. And obviously, in fact, you know, the community atmosphere, I suppose, is really, really good in Les Deux Alpes, with people trying to come up with ideas of other things that we could offer clients, and, you know, the restaurateurs getting together to try to make sure that we can offer deliveries of food and things like that. But there is obviously the curfew of 9 o'clock. So we're actually in lockdown at the moment still, but from the 15th of December we will be out of lockdown but have a curfew.
Yeah.
And that curfew is being lifted for Christmas and for New Year, obviously, but
yeah,
they're not opening bars and restaurants.
No. I should explain, listener, that we are, what's the date today? 30th of November? So
correct.
This is being recorded 30th of November, so this information is accurate as of today. But and that's the thing I really want to clarify, because there's a lot of people in the press who've been banding about this date of the 20th of January, but actually, you know, no one's decided that yet. You know, that is just
I don't think so, but I'm fairly sure that they haven't. I mean, it was mentioned for bars and restaurants for sure. But equally, I think in these times that's a long way ahead, isn't it? So, you know, if the virus comes down in numbers dramatically between now and then I would expect the government to change their mind. Equally, sadly, if the virus goes up massively in numbers, then I would expect them to change their mind as well.
Yeah. It's very interesting to see what's going on in Europe with this, especially this thing where all the European nations don't want anyone else to be open so that no one gets disadvantaged, which is a very, very strange concept to me, especially when, you know, I don't think, I've got to be honest, like I'm sitting here in Switzerland and I'm not seeing really, how can I explain this? Skiing is working here perfectly well, and the people who are doing skiing here, and the appetite, by the way, Alex, is massive, because
I can imagine. I mean, we've skied all over summer, and we skied all over the Tucson holidays, so I know that skiing can work here as well.
And you know, like, you know, the French were doing it probably before the Swiss were doing it. You know, everyone wears a mask on the lift. Everyone was being really, and is being really, really good at it, you know, in terms of their personal self-discipline. In terms of masks and all
it's a very small ask, isn't it, to be allowed to ski, to wear a mask?
I think now this is what's dawned on the Swiss population, is that if we all kind of work together, we can just keep going with this thing.
And also, like, so here in Les Deux Alpes, and I think in a lot of other resorts, the resort are making a buff that fits the required standards.
Yes.
And sits over the nose rather than being an ordinary style buff.
Yes.
So that people can buy with their lift passes or from me or from a sports shop or whatever, one of these buffs, so that they can very easily pull it up over their nose and mouth before they get anywhere near a lift queue, and obviously keep it there whilst they're on the lifts, and that they're not being required to keep it on whilst they're skiing down the slope. But in all honesty, having skied all summer and all Tucson with a mask, I had masks of Tip Top Ski Coaching made that are 3 layers and what have you. In fact, do you know what? It's cold now. It's quite nice. It's quite comfortable having a mask. It's quite nice and warm.
Here's the flip side to this. The flip side to this, listener. So I have been skiing every weekend since for the last month or so, and I'm honestly getting. I'm doing it because it's the right thing to do, but I'm getting a little bit tired and of breathing my own CO2, which is exhaled CO2, and it's tough actually. Working at altitude, for example, at 3,000 meters, having to wear a mask, so having that sort of access to fresh air kind of restricted a little bit is difficult. I'm finding
it's funny how it affects different people, isn't it? Yeah. It does seem to affect different people. I don't know. I'm quite happy to be nice and warm in my mask.
You're right. I find that I need to. I don't know. I'm not asthmatic or anything like that, but I find like I'm really missing that kind of extra sort of fresh air. But like you say, you've got to do what you've got to do to. Or we've got to do what we've got to do to kind of.
But equally, whilst you're on the piste and you're away from people, you can pull it down if you want to. Can't you?
That's right. That's right.
In fact, I've got some hilarious photos of me sort of growing a beard out of my chin, my pink mask that I've got, forgetting that you've pulled it down or whatever to take your selfie for Instagram.
Yeah. And so anyway, the picture for the rest of the Europe or picture of the rest of Europe. So Austria seemed to be in the same boat. Italy, France seem to be in the same boat also. But Switzerland seems to be going its own way. And internally here, it's been quite interesting. So the president of the honorary president of the Lift Operators Association here in Switzerland is Didier Defargo, downhill winner at the Olympics, and from literally the next village over to me. He was in the press recently with Monsieur Darbelet, who's the president of Valais, and he was basically saying, well, they put out a sort of joint statement and say if Switzerland are going to try and shut the lifts this winter for skiing, you've then also got to shut down Geneva Central train station, Zurich Central train station, Basel Central train station. Like those places are much more, and all the network rail infrastructure at peak times, because those places are much more crowded than ski lifts are.
Yeah, I think that's the
there's a huge double standard for the
argument of those people that are manifesting at the moment is that the Heure de Pointe, which is a rush hour in Paris, is much more dangerous than
100%.
Than your 4-person chairlift. Yeah,
it is, and like you say, the skiers are all being tremendously good. But the other thing that also they came out and said today, and this is kind of where the ski regions I think are fighting back, is that they've said there was more talk. There's some talk in Bern about trying to stop skiing or something like that, and the guy from Valais again has said, I don't think that the Federal Council, which is the guys that are enforcing the law here in Switzerland, who kind of run stuff, I don't think that they've got the 650 million francs in their budget that they need to pay the Valais for all the lost business if you shut down skiing again. And he's 100% right in that respect. The cost of the economy for our region around here is huge.
Oh, but the cost of the economy for here will be enormous, right? There's already been, I'm not sure of the exact figures, but I suspect it's something along the lines of 20-25% lost at the end of last season.
Yeah.
And the current figures I read the other day is that it's about 30%, I think, if we don't open before mid to end of January.
Yeah.
But also the other thing to remember is that it's not earnings that you can maybe get back again later.
No.
So we could extend the ski season maybe by a week or 2 weeks if we have the snow or what have you, but you can't say, well, we haven't opened for 6 weeks, so we'll extend it now for 6 weeks.
Yeah. It doesn't work like that, does it?
No, and there are only a certain number of beds in resort and what have you, so it's not about suddenly making it bigger. You can't just suddenly make it bigger. So it's lost income. It's very difficult to regain that income with the best will in the world.
Yeah. No, very, very much so. Very much so. We've I've experienced that a little bit with some of the residential camps that we run for some of the schools that we look after, and they were all set up, ready to go, COVID compliant, exclusive use in hotels, all that sort of stuff. And some bureaucrat in Canton Vaud has said no residential trips till June, and so all of that just disappears, and there were some quite big invoices in there, and
I can imagine
it's gone, right? It's just gone. It doesn't come back. There's no way of recouping that money. It's just gone for this winter. Now, there'll be people in the media and stuff who say, oh well, ski businesses have got to adapt and all of that sort of thing, but that's not how it works when you've worked 10 or 15 or 20 years of your life to become highly specialized in your area of expertise. You can't just turn to something else and do something else. And that's the problem with
in a tourist valley where the tourist attraction is skiing, there actually isn't another job for. Of course, one or two people will be able to turn their hand to, I don't know, renovating some chalets ready for next year or whatever it might be. But there isn't enough jobs for everybody in the valley to turn their hand to something else.
No, 100%. And I suppose probably, well, I don't know. I mean, we're going to see how this plays out. But my personal feeling actually is that the French, sort of the ESF, which is essentially the trade union body for French skiing, is quite a powerful one in Paris, and it wouldn't surprise me if they've got some people that can pull some pretty good strings there to get maybe you guys working and going a bit sooner than 20th of January.
Let's cross our fingers.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so for all of you guys' sake, because it's just, it's not...
It would be very nice. I think the other thing is that it would be very nice to know. I mean, I know it's very difficult. It's a difficult ask at the moment because it does depend on the virus numbers and things like that. But it would be nice to know when we're opening, so that people can start booking. And because the other thing is that local skiers will come obviously if it opens on a Saturday and they say on Friday night. But for people to book their 1 week off and organise their travel and accommodation and everything, it doesn't happen overnight.
No, it doesn't, and I think that's well, might as well pivot into the next subject then, might we? Might adding on an extra layer onto all of this is Brexit and the fun and games that's bringing, and so as if it wasn't bad enough, if you're a typical British family, you might be coming on holiday to Les Alpes or Switzerland or whatever for for your annual ski holiday. You don't know whether you've got a quarantine for 5 or 14 or whatever it is, however many days when you come back or when you go. You don't know whether your insurance might be valid because, you're travelling to, I don't know, you're travelling in a Brexit time or whatever. Like, it's just monumental, the difficulty for trying to get tourists to come to a tourist, for a winter holiday right now.
Yeah, it's well, I think it's less Brexit at the moment and more COVID, really. Brexit, I think. Okay, so we don't know that either, really. Do we? We don't know if we're going for a no deal or a deal, but people will still be able to travel. So if you want to go on holiday to Canada, you can still go on holiday to Canada. So you will still be able to travel to France. It's going to be a little bit more hassle probably. And you're going to need to make sure that you've got insurance because you won't have your EHIC card or what have you. And we won't know, what agreements are made on that front until they're made, I suppose. But it will still be possible to come, and I think that the skiing population of the UK have confidence in that. I think that they were booking. I think it's COVID that's caused more problems this season than Brexit. Although perhaps in the background, Brexit's would have caused more problem had it have only been the only thing that was there. Yeah.
It's it's all. It's a very difficult situation right now. I'm not sure what. How do you stand with regards to Well, no, because you're in a slightly... I was about to ask you about work permits and carte de séjour and stuff like that, but you're well down that road, aren't you, in person?
Yeah, well, I mean, I live in France. I'm a French resident.
Yeah.
So as far as having the right to work here, I'm assuming that I continue as normal. I've got my social security here in France, my retirement here in France, everything here in France. So... and as we were chatting before this, I'm applying for my French nationality as well. So I think for me, as far as having the right to work, I'll be fine. From my understanding of what's coming out of Basie at the moment, I'll also be okay because I've already signed my CTT and already have a French equivalent.
So tell me about that, because I'm interested in this and I don't very well understand it because I'm, as you know, Swiss-centric. But what's happened with Basie is that they sent out an email to all of their members recently saying, the gist of it was anyone below level 4 who isn't already qualified through this, we can't guarantee that your qualifications will be recognised post-Brexit.
Well, I think that was the gist of it if you've got a slightly pessimistic...
Well, tell me, because I skim-read it because it's not kind of relevant.
Yeah, I mean, I read it, and yes, I mean, it could imply that, in that this CTT, which is like the essential agreement, is no longer going to be recognised. However, just because it's been taken out of European law, all of the skiing nations have sat together around a table and agreed that the European Mountain Security, for example, so our off-piste section of the level 4, is something that every nation should do. Having some kind of timed race, so the Eurotest, is something that every nation should do. So it seems unlikely that the skiing nations will sit around a table and say, well, we're going to stick with all of those agreements, but because you're not in Europe, you can't stick with those agreements anymore.
Yeah, with you.
So I would hope, and I am always a glass half full kind of girl rather than a glass half empty kind of girl, that common sense will prevail eventually. And I'm not even sure that would be immediately. There might well be some problems immediately, I would imagine. But hopefully in the long run, the same as if you're a doctor and you've been through your qualifications and they're at the same level of somebody in Italy or France or wherever it might be, that you would be able to go and work as a doctor in another country with a working visa, that you will be able to apply with your qualifications that you've done through Basie that do actually meet, because we know that they meet the same level as those other nations in the agreement, and that it will be okay.
Okay, I'm curious.
I think there's a wave to ride in the middle, though. I think.
Well, like I say, I'm more on the glass half empty kind of point of view. I find it life disappoints me less if I'm on that kind of viewpoint. But what I suppose what I'm curious about is why this whole thing seems to have been such a surprise for Basie. I would have thought they would have spent the last 3 years kind of in negotiating some sort of underlying agreements, just in the event that all of a sudden, all previous agreements were kind of torn up. With the European nations.
Possibly, although it also said, like, on the other side of things, it seems quite amazing to me that that the British government have chosen to screw up this act, as if it's a piece of paper, because it affects so little people really in the grand scheme of the whole population. So why are we interested in this one? Yes,
that too. The reason I wanted to talk to you a little bit about this, because you're kind of a bit more on the inside, having obviously, you're the Basie 4 with the Kart Pro and whatnot. But I've just heard from a friend of mine who drives one of those transfer buses between the airport and the ski resort, and he's British, and he's got this qualification that allows him to drive this bus backwards and forwards. It's the British version of that qualification. So previously, that has been fine for the French, but he's just received a letter that says to him, no, that is no longer recognised, and you have 6 months to get yourself a French one. Otherwise, you can't drive people backwards and forwards to the airport anymore. And I was surprised to hear that, but not, well, a little bit surprised, but not mega surprised. But I wondered if that is somehow linked to, it's me with a tinfoil hat on, but I wonder if that is somehow linked to or might be what's going to end up happening to instructors with like a British qualification ongoing. Do you know what I mean? Do you see where I'm going with that?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, I don't know the difference between the French driving licence for that particular thing. Do you know what size bus he's driving and what have you? So it's difficult for me to comment on that.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think my logical thinking, and I completely agree with you that politics isn't always logical, so I might be wrong here.
Yeah.
But even if you had to go and do an equivalent exam, so like in Switzerland, for example, if you want to run your own ski school, I believe you have to go and do the Swiss patron, don't you?
Yeah, there's different ways, but yes, it's one of the routes. Yeah.
Okay, so if you've gone through and you've done your basic level 4, and we already know that on the table, France, Italy, Austria, Switzerland, BASI have agreed that the level of qualifications is the same.
Yeah.
So even if Switzerland come back and say you have to go and do your pattern, or France can say, well, we'd really like you to do the last level of that qualification, then although it's going to be a real hassle for people maybe and a financial implication, on a level of passing or not passing, they'll be skiing at the top of their game because they're just coming through their basic qualifications now.
Yeah.
So they will just go and do it, and they'll pass it, and they'll get their license. That's what I'm telling my guys that are coming through the system at the moment, that it's a horrible time, it's uncertain for them. Hopefully that logic will prevail and they won't, but if they did have to go and do another exam to show that they were at that level, then they should be skiing at that level anyway, because all of the countries have already agreed what the level is.
Yeah, okay.
So Brexit doesn't change that.
No, I suppose not. And so that you'd hope that underlying agreement or that old agreement would be respected, or those.
Well, I would hope so, but I would also hope that underlying or old agreement was an agreement of levels required to become a top level ski instructor.
Yeah.
So whether you're a top level ski instructor in the French system and BASI asks you to go and do the level 4 in order to get the BASI license, or vice versa, then you should be skiing at the top of your game. So if you're passing one, you should pass the other.
Yeah, okay.
But that would be my glass half full way of looking at it.
Is your understanding is that once you've already got the Kart Pro, so your situation would be similar to mine.
My understanding is that I've already got my Kart Pro,
and that can never be taken away once you've got it.
Yeah, and I've already got my right to work in France, live and work in France, so I should be okay. I guess everybody can change rules whenever they want, can't they, these days? So, there's only a certain amount of security in that.
No, I suppose.
And there's certainly no security in what I'm telling people who are coming through the system, because I've got no idea whatsoever. And James Lister or, somebody within BASI would have a much clearer idea of what's going on. But equally, I suspect that they're working quite hard to try and organise that for us, so that our worst case scenario isn't actually what happens. So I think we're probably best to let them do their job and work for it, support them where we can, and wait and see what happens, really. I don't see what else we can do at the moment. But my advice to the guys that I'm training coming through the system at whatever level they are is that I think that there will be a wave to ride, and I think you're not necessarily going to apply on the 1st of January for your Kart Pro if you passed your level 4 on the 1st of January. There's going to be some organisation to do and what have you, but I would hope that because you are skiing at the top of your game, which is at the top of that game, which has already been decided between the countries what level it is, even if you had to go and do the last exam in another country's system, that shouldn't be anything more than a logistical and financial problem for you, rather than a skiing problem for you.
Yeah, that's fair to say. Now, look, I realise that time's been running on, and you guys, you said to me that you guys normally eat around 8, so we are we're late, and you've got a hungry husband next door, which I was, I don't want to compromise that. Tell me one last thing. I wanted to go back just to one last question, if it's all right with you. Would be about the training and stuff that you started to do with the Eurotest and your journey through that as you did more and more race training.
Yeah.
Racing and race training is a reasonably controversial topic within ski instructing, especially things like the Eurotest. A lot of people will argue it both sides. But what would you say that you learnt the most out of the time that you spent racing, and where does the value come in for a ski instructor to learn that racing?
This is like the $1 million question, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but just for you.
Everyone.
So, what did you get out of it?
I actually think that I've thought about this quite a lot. I think I've been asked it quite a lot. Actually, I think I get asked it quite a lot by clients. So I agree that going fast and round gates doesn't necessarily make you a good teacher.
Yeah.
However, I think what it gave me was a necessity to understand in more depth how a ski works and how I can make it work, which gives me a better ability to explain things to my clients.
Okay. That's interesting. So for you, it's a technical point of view as to the
I think for me
physics and
personally it
mechanics.
was. I don't think it is necessary for everyone, but for me personally, it really allowed me to understand more of what I was doing and what the ski was doing.
That's interesting. I always thought it was, because I've done a fair share of that too, and I always thought it was more about what you discover about yourself and how you learn about things, so it's like a journey of self-discovery. You're almost putting yourself in the position of a client, who's coming to it really raw. If you've done no racing before, you're like in a real early stage, like learning zone, and
yeah,
also
for sure. So I would agree
with
with that. For me personally, like I came to mountain biking a bit later, and so I'm trying to learn to mountain bike at the moment, and I would definitely agree that it puts you in a place where you're less than happy on occasions.
Yeah.
Whereas I think maybe, I don't know, I started racing quite early in the system. Like I said, somebody gave me a tip off to start early. So I wasn't necessarily the most fantastic skier when I started racing.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why it's not for me. I was also maybe quite lucky that I've played other sports to a reasonable level. So found, in fact, contrary to quite a lot of people, found getting to a level 3 stage reasonably easy. I could make the shapes and do the movements that people were asking me to do without really understanding what was happening.
Yeah.
And then I found once I moved from the level 3 to the level 4, so in order to pass the Eurotest and the 4 Tech, basically, was when I had to take a step back really and start learning actually what I'm doing in order to be able to make those finer changes.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting.
Which I guess is where that racing side of things, where I felt as if it allowed me to understand a lot more.
What were your other sports?
Rugby and hockey.
Ah. Is there any... There must be some similarities between... I talked to Tom Waddington about this. Similarities between rugby and skiing in terms of kind of going off of one foot or the other. Hockey, I'm not so sure. I don't know.
Lateral movements.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but do you know what? I think there are quite a lot of fundamental things in all sports, really.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, like stances.
But both rugby and hockey, you have to either dribble around someone or pass them, don't you? So.
Okay. Cool. Well, what we're going to do is let you go, but I want you to plug Tip Top Ski Coaching first. Where could people find you if they wanted to find you, and what's the best way to get in touch with you, etc.?
Excellent. So Tip Top Ski Coaching is a ski school based in Les Deux Alpes. Although if you are travelling to Alpe d'Huez, we can come and ski with you there as well. You'll find me at www.tiptopskicoaching.com. And we also obviously have a Facebook page and Instagram and Twitter, and they're all on my phone, so I'm fairly good at replying to things, although obviously if I'm teaching, that might be after the lesson rather than during your lesson. At the moment, we'd love some cheering up, so if you've got some cool skiing photos of you guys on holiday or skiing or training or whatever it might be, please do share them. It's hashtag ski with the best or hashtag Tip Top Ski Coaching.
Ski with the I'm going to write these down. That's really cool. Okay, perfect. You're the first person who's plugged hashtags on here. That's ahead of the game for sure. And what I might do, I'm sorry to do this to you, Blair, but what I might do is I'll save Blair as like a Christmas special, and because this one's got a lot of relevant current information, I think we might push this one out a bit earlier than sooner rather than later. So
I'm sure Blair won't mind.
I'm sure he won't. I mean, he seems like a reasonable guy.
He'll be skiing in Scotland.
Well, exactly. He'll be in the depths of Back or Beyond somewhere, doing something really gnarly. Perfect. Okay, well, Alex, thank you so much for your time. I really, really enjoyed this chat, and I really appreciate you taking the time out of your evening.
But not at all. Thank you very much for having me on the podcast.